Okay, welcome to a regular meeting of the Norwich Planning Commission. We have a quorum, so let's get started. Motion to approve the agenda, and then we can discuss.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any thoughts, ideas, changes to the agenda?
I don't
All
think on
right.
a nice night like this, you're going to have too many people wanting to do.
That's right. I would like to add a large contentious issue, please.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of moving with the agenda as stated, as approved. All right, unanimous. Thank you. Public comment. I don't see participants unless somebody's hiding in the room there. We don't have public
We
comment.
have no public here.
Again,
And we don't have correspondence. There's no correspondence in the packet, so
There's no correspondence this month.
for items. Okay. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Chair's report is brief, partly because I just wanted to, I think it's good. We're going to kind of standardize the agenda here so that we'll have a placeholder for chair report, which in the select board tradition, they've gotten to where it's sort of what extracurricular activities the chair might have done on the commission's behalf in the interim, which is a good, just a good little thing to report, or small items. If we have items that are too small to be an agenda item, but I know I'm gonna talk about on chair report, I would probably flag them explicitly under chair report. So the fact chair's report's there as a placeholder, but really the only two things I wanted to just mention was I had some very good conversations actually with a couple select board members, but specifically with Matt Sweat around the potential for improving town visibility, town activity visibility, what different groups are doing, what a merged calendar might look like, better use of the website, all these sorts of town visibility topics. And so he's going to think through some of that and introduce it at the select board level. Hi, Mary. And so that was a good conversation. Nothing we need to do now, but I thought it was promising to help coordinate the different activities and get visibility into what the planning commission is doing. And it does feed into the conversation as we start talking about 2026 priorities and what we want to be focused on and what's going to happen X number of months from now. It would be great if there was a way to have the select board and different town groups aware of that and made it visible. So that's one. The other, I think Stephen will talk to when we get to talking about the municipal planning grant. We had a very good conversation today with Gene Richardson, who is a potential consultant on helping set up the steering committee and get that activity going. So we'll talk about that in the agenda. So that's it for the chair report. On 2026 priorities, and this is really, okay, we're at the March meeting. We don't do our organizational meeting until the two positions roll over in April or whenever that is. So I did, just to confirm that, Miranda sent out a list of open town positions and said apply within the next 10 days, and then the select board will talk about it on their at the 25th meeting. That did not include the planning commission. And I confirmed that they'll do it in two tranches. So in April, they will say, okay, there are two positions on the planning commission, and they will take applications and talk about that at the April, probably the second meeting in April. So just so everybody's aware of that.
But run through the 30th.
Yeah. And so I don't mean when I say 2026 priorities, it's really, it's good to use this meeting as a kickoff of a new year from a content point of view to say, okay, what are the what are the priorities, what are the activities going on, what do we want to make sure to get done in the first quarter, second quarter, that kind of thing. And I think the thing to frame that, and just to go to the one that's C there, because it's top of mind for me for planning. The town plan is due to be redone completely, rewritten. It would be the 2028 town plan. That's the title. And so that's pretty much 2 years from now. We want to have finished, or at least have it into, a whole bunch of public hearings and so forth, the new town plan. And 2 years is not that long a time when you're talking about that level of effort. So I think part of our prioritization of the next 6 months is to look at that sequence. What does it take us, say, in the next 18 months to get the pieces we need for the town plan redraft, and which of those need to happen first and are front loaded? And so that's things like it's the energy plan work and the solar siting that feed into that whole chapter. There's the bike ped work. There's the village master plan, capital planning, conceivably. So there are all these pieces that will roll in to the town plan. Mary? Still muted. That's all right.
Okay.
That's one method.
Yes.
The drop
She's just going to pull in.
Yeah. So just with that in mind, if we then look back at the municipal planning grant and the bike ped grant and other activities, but we should all have that in our heads to say, what is the sequence that gets us to the town plan? What are the pieces of the town plan? And how do we get them ready? And so let's give Mary another minute, Stephen, before you give us a little bit on the planning grant. And it's useful to just at this point pull out the current town plan. You can pull up and I'm sure Stephen can point us all at the state documents that are here are the elements of the town plan, and they're pretty standard. Here are the 12 chapters, and you got to have land use, and you got to have transportation, and so forth. So it's good to just look at it, let it kind of wash over you in overview, and say, oh, okay, those are the pieces, and which ones are likely to need significant effort, which ones just are going to get an update of data, the new figures on housing and energy and transportation, and which ones are we really going to put some time into. I don't know where Mary's gone, but let's keep going. If you want to, Stephen, give us a status and your ideas on next steps on municipal planning grant.
Sure. So, it's essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to focus on one of our 3 planning areas in our 2020 town plan, which is the village district. And we've identified a village area, based on the future land use map, where we're really going to sort of do essentially a mini town plan for that specific land use planning area. Um, because the budget is small and the questions are important, we've decided to take a tactic of forming a steering committee. And Jan and I, and Gene Richardson, who we're going to bring on to help us walk through essentially her role is going to be to steer the steering committee. Where the outcome of that is a scope of work document, where we've answered, asking the right questions that will, roll out into an RFP and have a contractor that we've identified through the steering committee process, run a series of workshops, and then write the village master plan.
Can we just pause for a second, Steve, and give Mary a chance if she's with us?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
I was on a different device. It just wasn't working. I apologize. Yeah,
No problem.
getting back to the three priorities that you had identified, Jan, I mean, I know that there are a group of parents at the Marion Cross School who are, putting this bike proposal forward. I guess my question would be, because a group of parents have signed a petition and want to put a grant proposal forward, does that make it a priority of the Planning Commission, or was that a decision that we made, or was that just a group of parents who want to think about bike paths? Because there's so many other things in town that are priorities of other people, whether it's do we do we get rid of the Moore Bridge and things like that. So I guess I want to understand why that has become a priority for the Planning Commission when I don't really know that. Maybe I mean, I did miss a meeting, so maybe I missed that.
No, I think it's a good point, and I want to be clear. The things that are listed there are just things that I, in talking with Stephen about the agenda, said they're basically active threads that need to be fit into the whole picture. That it doesn't mean that there aren't five, like I said, capital planning, the energy plan chapter, there are several other things that need to get fit into the same prioritization. We as a group should list them all, put them on the table, and then rank them. I think that Bike Ped grant is simply on there because it is an activity that should be fit somewhere into this discussion, not because it's active and it has a planning element to it. It in no way implies that it's second on the list and
Yeah,
above.
I mean, I guess my sense would be it's like, okay, the Planning Commission said when I wasn't here, sure, go ahead, go do your grant. And so that's done. We'll see what they come back with. If they come back with something and they want to discuss it, then that's great. Let's discuss it. Let's see what it is, and if it's something affordable and reasonable. So
they need the Planning Commission to apply for the grant.
I thought they had that, Stephen. Do they not?
Well, I mean, you're saying they need to go off and do their thing and come back, but it's all centered on the Planning Commission.
But
right. I guess so. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought that
Yeah.
I thought that we needed, but I thought that the committee decided last time that they were supporting it, and so they could put the grant in. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is there another, just specifically, is there another step the Planning Commission must take to move forward on that VTrans grant? Stephen?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to bring it forward to the select board for sort of a memorandum like we did with the municipal planning grant.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I would recommend that we do what we did with that, like whether it's whoever writes it or I don't really even know who's working on the bike ped, the actual writing of it, as Stephen or the parent, whoever, but and then it comes to this group, and then we made edits and recommendations, and if it passes this group, it still has to go to select board for the same process. They would introduce it, they would still have to vote to support it, back the funds for the match.
Yeah.
We would still get a chance to review whatever the application was.
And I guess I'd be curious, Mary, if you could sort of expand on your sense of what the priorities are.
Yeah. So, well,
Well,
I guess
yeah,
I think that
that's what I
we,
want the group to say. So certainly we should
yeah.
get them on
So
the table.
are you looking for mine personally, Stephen, or for everybody on the commissions?
I'm looking for
Uh,
everybody's and
I mean,
well,
parents included.
yes to you. I
yeah, so
mean,
my sense is that we've been talking around, the town plan, the energy plan, solar siting plan. So just kind of getting a very kind of big handle on, on the big town plan issues. But I would say the energy plan, I'm surprised that's not sort of a separate thing because it has been identified as a major priority that would feed into the town plan. So I would have that on it. I mean, I think that we are through doing the work that we've, I mean, we've got the work with the Three Rivers, and maybe that's done. But I would think that there's ongoing conversations around on the way, how does the move away from the traditional way of planning in Vermont with Act 250 impact the town? I think I don't know if there's additional work to be done or whether that is done, but that's kind of high level. I think we're all set with the issue around rental properties, the Airbnb type of thing, short-term rentals. I think that that's done, but I don't know if there's any follow-on. And then, I mean, Jan, you've made a significant investment in the idea that we should be doing more on capital planning. So those are all kind of larger items that take place where I think that the bike thing is like, okay, we're going to support the grant, yes or no, like do it and move out of the way and then wait for them to come back with whatever request they have for our consideration.
Yeah. I agree with all those. I would definitely second that. I would put another one. So yeah, the land use, regional land use, and the whole tiers in Act 250. We definitely want to keep that. If they shift how they do, how the state does those tiers, we want to be on top of that. Capital planning and trying to get some motion with the select board. The other one is basically housing. We had an ADU discussion, but the issue of housing, which will come up in the village master plan, is clearly development, growth, housing, all those things as it relates first to the village and then the whole town plan. So I would put that as a substantive issue on our.
yeah, absolutely, especially in terms of, from 2020 to 2028, the most significant legislative change in the state of Vermont has been around housing. So, there's new housing targets. So we're going to need to spend a significant amount of time on our housing chapter and really make it Norwich's own.
And
So
I do think that, we have subcommittees. Sorry, go ahead.
So out of all of the elements in the upcoming town plan, the housing has been the most dynamic over the period of time. So I think that's going to really need a lot of attention, a lot of priority for discussion.
In terms of dynamic, in terms of regulatory environment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Act 47, Act 181, the Land Use Review Board, new housing targets. There's been a lot of change since 2020 for that particular element. And I know
we have the subcommittees, and the whole point of the subcommittees is they should be working on, the high priority topics because that's where we've deemed it worth having a separate group. So the fact that two of those are working on the energy plan chapter and one of them is working on housing shows that. So I think that's all the kind of list that I wanted to get on the table. Are there other things that we're missing, either, Stephen, like knowing coming from the town plan side what is going to need significant work, or everybody's memory of what's been bouncing around here and needs to get embedded in in context? Anything we're forgetting?
I don't think so at this point. Our town plan is silent on some conservation elements. It's sort of predated, the sort of forest block legislation. Our town plan currently doesn't really do well in terms of soil mapping. There's no trails discussion in our town plan at present. So, I mean, there's going to be additions to the current town plan, which I think will be important. Our town plan, as it is right now, is it's very well designed, it's well laid out, but it is kind of shallow, and doesn't really, I think, really represent the true character of the town of Norwich, even though it's a regionally compliant town plan. So, I think it's important to hit those notes. I mean, there's nothing really substantial about historical preservation, even though there are there's a half a century of local work in historical preservation in the town of Norwich. So, I mean, I think seeing that we have 2 years, and some of the elements.
Yeah, that was part of my question. Was, I mean, we've talked a little about that, and I understand. Okay, those missing elements.
Yeah.
That we're going to do work on, and if they're the kind of thing that takes elapsed time 6 months and doesn't weave together with other things, then fine, we're going to do it. But what are the things that take a year's worth of work and really are embedded in are intertwined? Let's make sure we put them towards the front. We know we're going to on the forest blocks and the all the things you just listed. Let's just make sure we're doing the tough stuff first, so we have time. Vince?
Lower hand. There we go. Yeah, just to Mary's point with at least the bike ped and thinking about the bridge, I was just wanted to kind of bring up a couple site-specific issues. I don't know, we can't do anything, we're limited with what we can do for specific issues, but at least they're a good jumping off point to think about things. So like the Moore Lane Bridge would maybe come into capital planning, I guess. Just trying to think of, I know we've talked about the farmers market a lot, and then we've also talked about north of the transfer station a lot. So just kind of wanted to bring up a couple persistent issues or locations, and within that context, if we could come up with any categories to kind of file those under, because those seem to be perennial favorites to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think hopefully the Moore Lane Bridge they let out the contract supposedly in the next few months. That will get essentially the 10-year solution done. But Christian?
Yeah, just maybe this is something to do in advance, or something that would be smart for this group to do forward looking, is to do a survey of other towns that have more recently done a town plan. I've looked at, I mean, not extensively at all the towns, but some of them, the newer ones where they've done a complete rehaul, are much more succinct and much clearer. And so I don't know if this group, we don't want to copy another town's town plan, but if we could point to 2 or 3 that we think are valuable, even just in the way they format it and how succinct they are and where they point to things. Because my one complaint with our town plan is it is incredibly long for what it is, and a lot of rather than see statute here, we spell out the entire statute in half a page.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea. I mean, Thetford is, I think, whatever, 1.5 years or 2 years ahead of us. They're pretty far along redoing their plan, but using them and perhaps a couple others.
I think it would be helpful for everybody to sort of pull a few town plans, look at them, and find one you like. I mean, we there's no harm in doing a little bit of tactical plagiarism.
Can you help us out a little? I mean, even if I think it's a good idea to do. I mean,
I'll
to
find
redo every. Find us a
the most
couple,
recent
three
reagent.
The
reasonably.
Waitsfield one is great. The Waitsfield one is terrific.
Yeah, so like that,
you
yeah, I
know,
mean, and yeah, I think that's great, Mary. Like if we have, I don't know, half a dozen we could review and
Yeah.
people suggest,
Yeah.
and then we
Yeah.
pick
Agreed.
2 or 3 as like, this is what we like about this one.
Yeah.
I just find that
Yeah.
more helpful than trying to, I don't know, it gives you a different angle than reading our 80-page document and trying to like redo our, like,
Right,
otherwise we're just
make
gonna
it a little
reproduce the same
better.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think our town plan is full of contradictions, and it's also full of historical things that are so out of date right now. Back in 2010, there was a vote. We don't even know what was voted on, and yet it keeps getting put in front of us. So everybody in town wanted XYZ back in 2011, and therefore that should drive what we're doing going forward. So I think it needs to be pragmatic, and I agree with Christian. It should be as trim as possible. And I think being just really more factual than the one we have right now is.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think if it's always the challenge, it is an aspirational document in that it's the town plan. But part of the reason it's contradictory is because it seems to try to please everyone. We will have economic growth while protecting our environment. While that, it's everything is listed, and it doesn't help. If you want it to flow into the zoning regulations and be a guide, it's gotta make some. It's got to show some preference. It's got to say, here's who Norwich is, and here's what we want and what we don't want, and not just a list of, mom, apple pie, baseball, and, everything everybody wants.
Jan, to that end of showing preference, I mean, occasionally we talk about like, I forget if it was like a postcard survey or surveys that had happened in the time, in the past decades ago of trying to, put the finger in the wind and gauge the intent or desires of, the broader swath of people than just to like response to the listserv, I guess, or something like that. But I mean, is this the timing then to talk about
yeah. So, Stephen, how do you see?
I mean, we're not there right now, but
but I'm wondering. It's a question, as Stephen put it. The village plan activity that we're doing with this first grant is our prototype, is a mini town plan activity, and
we're going to learn a lot.
We're going to learn a lot, and we're going to practice. We're going to say, okay, do you do it with focus groups? Do you do it with a survey? Do you only survey? Which groups do you survey? How do you focus on the village area, but still understand, the people that are coming to drive through the village, or all those things? So pretty soon, we want to talk about, as part of that activity, how to understand people's preferences and what people want, not want, what do they value more than something else, and how do we learn it? So I think using that activity as a test run is important. Mary?
I think we need to get someone very good in surveying when we do that. This is a town where we have a lot of commentary about, we want to do everything green. We want to do everything for this. We want to do everything for that. It's like, we got to make choices. Do you want a bike path? Do you want not to have stuff leaching into the river? Like, what are the choices that the people are making? And understanding what the consequences are of some of these decisions. Because I think that so many of the quote unquote surveys that have been done in the past, I don't know how well they've been done or how the questions have been framed, but we certainly get a number of people in town who attend a lot of meetings who will speak about, the truths of this town based on some questionnaire that was done a long time ago that may or may not have been a valid question, and may have gotten feedback from, again, motherhood and apple pie. So I think we need, if we're going to do surveys, let's make sure we're doing them really well and that we're being very comprehensive and not, do you like ice cream? Sure.
Yeah, and I think, Stephen, that was part of your comment relative to getting a solid SOW for consultants to help with the plan, in the mini plan, the village plan, and the big plan, is to say we need to get an honest appraisal of how the town feels, what are the preferences, what's more valuable, and so forth, and we need to do a good job of that. And
Yeah.
it is not, I think your description of the current town plan is a good one to say, and we talked about it a little bit with Gene today, to say it doesn't feel like it necessarily represents Norwich, just in terms of proportionality and preferences and so forth. It emphasizes, if you were to do a bubble chart of what is emphasized and then do the same thing for the town as a whole, I don't think they would match. Now, some of that may be shifts over the last 6 or 7 years. I don't know, but let's do it so that it is more honest and more factual when we redo it.
Yeah. And Bob, to your point, in this, I did budget in this work plan for the village master plan, postage to send something, whatever that is, to TBD to every household in Norwich. So, I mean, a big portion of these projects is, the sort of active engagement in the process with the community, much more so than the document that comes out in the end. So we're going to have to, through this village master plan, we're really going to try to market it as widely as possible for as much sort of, participation across the spectrum of opinion in town.
Yeah, so everybody think about it from that point of view. We'll talk, as Stephen said, next meeting, we'll have a chunk of time for the village master plan, setting up the steering committee, thinking about methods and so forth. So that'll be at our next meeting. We'll put a chunk of time into that and really kick it off. But think about it as a mini town plan exercise, and let's do a microcosm practice session that really helps us learn and then we follow up on it. Then we say, oh, okay, we got an inkling of something, a whisper coming out of the hills when we did it the first time. Let's dig into that more and make sure we hear it when we do the full plan.
And, in terms of, the steering committee, right now, I think it's imperative to get voices from other committees, other portions of, of the town. Sort of looking at, a member from the planning commission, a member from historical preservation, so, somebody from the school, somebody from the DRB, maybe somebody from the Norwich Business Council. Just trying to get, making participation in the steering committee as broad as possible to get as many perspectives on that we can.
So are you saying have the steering committee, the steering commission have all those people on it?
Yep.
Well, it depends. I mean, I think
It's a lot of
we were talking 6 or 7 people, so you're picking and choosing. And I think, like, when we say school, it's more who represents the group that is school, that has school age children. It doesn't mean let's get the principal or a teacher or someone from the school. It is, here's an important constituency or stakeholder group in the village. Who's going to represent them? Okay, that's a person. But if you can get someone who combines DRB with historic, or gets, but we're talking 6 or 7 people. We're not talking 12 people here. That's
So that's kind of the intent of the steering committee is, broad coalition of perspectives that will come, design well-articulated statement of work. We'll put it out to RFP, get a contractor. The contractor will write the village, conduct the workshops, run those, write the village master plan, and report that all back to the planning commission. So
Okay.
that's the framework of that.
Okay, so I think what I'd like to do, for the 2026 priorities, we have the list up there. We'll talk about a few of the key ones under the subcommittee reports. But what I'll do is take that list and maybe talk with Stephen to say, it's front load things that need work and front load things that take the most time, and say, okay, we really, to stay on track, we need in the next 6 months to get capital planning, housing this and transportation piece, or, what are the things that need to make good progress in the first half of this year to stay on track? And then we can discuss that at the next meeting, so that we can, and we may want to reach out to the select board if it's around capital planning. We may want to set up another subcommittee and pull in other people, but we just need to look at the whole picture and then decide the priorities for the coming months.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 years, basically to the day.
Yeah.
For the town plan.
And I've got to think that 6 months of that is public hearings and regional reviews and all kinds of things like that.
Yeah. A town plan can expire. There's no consequence, but we want to be at the sort of hearing stage in 2 years for sure.
Yep. So that's the timeline to watch, and I'll try and map that backwards and give us an idea of the next 6 months.
Yeah. And plus,
Okay.
you have so much free time.
In
your new
Yes,
career.
I have. I got a week more, and that's it. And then my day job becomes the planning commission. Not sure about that. It's also spring. Okay, so that's number 6. Number 7 on subcommittees, and again, we're trying to get some standardization to the agenda so that people can expect either to need to report or to hear a report from these groups. And maybe, I would ask people, is this something where we can see how it's going, but it would be legitimate to say, is it every month that we want a subcommittee report? Do we kind of rotate them through and hear from each one once a month? Anyway, but for right now, I think we haven't heard specifically for a while, and so let's catch up. Steve, you're the one managing along with, it's not even Harry Falconer now, it's another resource for that group.
It's Brian Kovalik. Harry's the regional shared energy coordinator, but he was overtasked in other towns. So Brian, who's a planner with Two Rivers, has sort of stepped in, and he's done this work before, so it's an equivalency for me.
Okay.
So the Enhanced Energy Group, which is made up of 2 members of the Planning Commission, 2 members of the Conservation Commission, and 2 members of the Energy Committee, we've met now twice. The first meeting was sort of high level, Section 248, substantial deference, how the PUC works, how sort of the energy data that is collected regionally by town. So we're sort of just looking at the inputs and the sort of purpose. I think with our, we sort of went through that the first 2 meetings. We're now beginning to sort of compare our energy chapter to other enhanced energy plans. I think the outcome from our next meeting will, we're pretty quickly going to move to start drafting the energy chapter, which will be included in the town plan, adopted as an enhanced energy plan.
Mm-hmm. Mary?
Who are the two reps from the planning commission on this group?
Vince and Bob.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. If you
Because-
guys have anything to add.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
chime
I
in.
think we were just
So-
gonna go through, sorry.
Is it, well, I want to, we want to be clear that everybody's clear, and we have a solar siting meeting coming up, but we want to be clear how the pieces fit together.
That's my point, like,
You know.
because we haven't had any conversation, and that's partly my fault, I'm sure, but how is it coming together? And it would be good to get a report from that group, because have we gotten one before?
What do you mean a report?
No,
Well,
I
you
mean,
just- Jan was just talking about getting regular reports from subcommittees, Steve, so I
No,
was
this
wondering
is
if
the
there's a
first time
regular.
we've talked.
yeah, this is
about
they've
that.
had 2 meetings other than meeting minutes. This is the first time it's come back to this group. And as
Yeah.
you know, as far as I know, the working document that sort of frames the division of labor is
Yeah.
that 2-pager that says of the multiple criteria, or whatever they call them, sections. Here are the ones that group is doing, and here are the ones, the maps and the siting criteria and the process. That's what if we rename it, the Renewable Siting Committee or whatever, but it's, so that subdivision, we just need to make sure that's clear to everyone, so that when the pieces roll together, they fit.
Yeah. And
So do you think, I mean, do you think in that group, and Bob and Vince certainly chime in, is that, does that group understand that there's a solar siting group that's coming with maps and criteria and so forth, and you're doing other stuff?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, what we were tasked with was, well, Stephen was tasked with a lot, I think, as far as identifying some of the, look at what is already satisfied for the enhanced energy plan by our town plan, identify the kind of the shortcomings, and we're going to tick off the list of those, kind of divide and conquer to have a draft of what would fulfill those required parts. So we're going to be kind of presented with that, divvy it up, get our drafts, try to get things moving quickly to kind of at least check off all the boxes so that the content is there.
Yeah.
To give it all the structure. So I mean, in that respect, we're just looking at some of the details of what we need to have and making sure we have them right now. That's where the discussion is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the current energy chapter is not actually that far off from, in terms of the content that this group is looking at, is not that far off from what it needs to be compliant with an enhanced energy plan. So we're looking at the sort of gap between what we have now and what we need to do. It's basically an equity piece, which isn't really present in the current plan. So we're going to track that down. I've tried to make it clear that the siting recommendations are in the group, the siting group. We're not dealing with those. I think I'm probably going to collect some recommendations from this group for siting, just because they're going to bring it out anyway, no matter what. But I think it's pretty clear. I've tried to make it very clear what the division of labor is.
Yeah, I mean, if it just like anybody in the public that wants to, you can feed ideas about solar siting to the appropriate group, which is the solar siting subcommittee. And so if that group has things that they want to put into the conversation, we just know where it goes. And so
And Ryan is on the same page from Two Rivers.
Okay. Do you see any, or when do these need to feather together? Like can you go for another couple of months independent or in parallel with any solar siting activities and then it comes together, or are there any kind of back and forth that, when do we really need to start integrating the
I think we'll probably need 2 more meetings. I mean, like I said, the sort of the gap for at least the things that, the elements that we're looking at, our plan's already almost compliant. So I don't think there's going to be much lift once we sort of laid that all out, which is the plan for the next meeting. The next following meeting, we can, sort of draft something together, and after that, I believe we'll be able to sort of either dissolve the group and wait for the siting committee to come in. I think we'll be ready to, bring something to the planning commission in 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Will there be, I
That's
guess
my-
I would suggest there may be interim reports. I mean, the solar siting committee writes a report after every meeting gets posted. So I guess just
It writes
keeping everybody
minutes.
informed, is that possible?
What do you mean?
They have to do minute. They have to do minutes. They're a
Yeah, we
public
do
body.
minutes as well. So, I mean, yeah.
And where are they posted?
There's a page
Is it on those, is it online?
off the planning commission page.
Okay. Got it. I'll see. Thank you.
Yeah, so there should be minutes, and then if
Yeah, I mean,
As-
it's
as
same
we
for
go
the siting
forward,
committee.
it would be useful, we should just, be geared towards what we know is going to happen, which is
Yeah.
we need a single energy chapter that's being currently worked on by 2 different groups. And so we know that that's got to come together. So let's get the visibility and the matched progress so that we got a decent chance of bringing it together in a few months.
Yeah, and then it's going to be parked, right, until the town plan is adopted.
Well, that was my next question. So can we can't adopt it as an appendix, or that delta doesn't work until the whole plan? Because what about, I mean, we talked about this where the town is potentially exposed, the ambiguities in some of the criteria and so forth. There's some holes we'd like to plug before 2008 if we could, and that's part of the reason we've been working on
Yeah,
criteria process.
It's not a standalone document. An enhanced energy plan is an enhanced energy element, enhanced energy chapter. So to get that sort of designation from regional planning that we're in compliance, our town plan has to be compliant. So we can't bring forth just one chapter of our town plan for regional approval. So
Vince? Yeah, Vince?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So if this is part of the town plan, don't we have to adopt it as a edit to the current town plan to become in compliance to have an enhanced energy document? I didn't think it could be a standalone thing.
it's
Right,
not a
but-
standalone thing. And
Okay, so if it's not standalone, then the question is do we amend the current town plan, or do we wait to 2028?
Yes, that's a good point.
I don't think our current town plan would pass regional approval because legislation has changed and there are new elements, new targets, new levels of compliance for that town plan in other chapters that would sort of fail in those chapters. So our housing element right now is not compliant with state standards. So if we go forward with a town plan where we've only updated the energy chapter, our housing would not be compliant, and the regional powers that be would have to consider the entire document when they approve one.
So at a bare minimum here, we need to set groups' expectations accurately. So if we have asked people to do this work and we're going to have 2 more meetings and then we're going to put it together and the solar siting is coming in and we say thank you very much, and then we'll get back to it in a year because it rolls into the town plan, the new town plan. If that's the situation and that's the constraints we're working under, then again, it's part of this whole sequencing to 2028. We should be clear what to work on when and what's a priority, and make that known to everybody. I don't want people to say, wait a minute, it sounded like this was urgent, and now you're telling me it's parked for a year. Mary?
Yeah,
Go ahead. Stephen, did you want to respond?
Sorry. Thanks, Mary. I think I made that clear to the members of the Enhanced Energy Working Group that, we're well ahead of the curve for adoption.
So I just glanced at it and I will look at it more carefully, but I would say 2 things. One, it doesn't, the language that I looked at, again, cursory, does not have regulatory language in it. That was a huge part of the work that the solar siting planning did before it kind of got its wheels taken off, saying it has to be regulatory. It has to have shall and must, not like, it'd be let's encourage and guide and things like that. That doesn't hold any water with the PUC. And it also, at least the document, and maybe you haven't gotten to it yet, still says the entire town of Norwich is a preferred site.
We haven't started drafting, Mary.
I'm just looking at the notes from February 25th. And so that's what I'm looking at right now, which makes me extremely worried that we're going to end up with the same, back in, it already says in 2018, we did a postcard survey. Nobody knows what the question was, and that's going to guide what we do. And then we have a lot of very vague language that the PUC will not know what to do with, and therefore will default to whatever the state, whatever the developers want to do. So, I mean, I put a lot of time into the solar siting, and I can tell that by some of the participants that it'll get railroaded if we don't say what is it that we want here. And I trust that people are going to. Well, I hope that people are going to do that, but still seeing some of this language is worrisome.
Well,
after your second meeting, you've got 2 more.
Well, to be clear, anything to do.
I'm
with
not
the
sure, Mary.
wait a second.
Sure.
Just wait a second, because I mean, right off the bat, I would say if we're talking about default solar siting, preferential, preferred siting in town, by definition, that is that language, those criteria are coming from the solar siting subcommittee, not from the energy plan working group. So what that is going to be, dealt with in the other group and rolled in. It's clearly a solar siting criteria conversation. The energy plan working group.
The energy committee reaching out to us then and asking for that language then, Jan, because right now the language is problematic. And and there's certainly a lot of work that we've done in terms of thinking about how do you make it so it's regulatory. It has some teeth.
We have not written anything yet.
We haven't written anything, Mary. So I don't understand.
All right, I'm looking at your notes. What do you mean
the notes?
I went on to the minutes.
From January 14th?
No, from February 25th.
The packet.
Yes.
Okay.
The packet may have been the existing document.
The packet is the existing document. It's the town plan in plain text. That's the existing town plan pushed out to a PDF.
Okay. They haven't started yet in that sense.
Okay.
And that's all, like Jan was saying, that's all in the wheelhouse of the siting committee.
Yeah, that sort of thing is going to get blocked out coming from a different
All righty, thank you.
Yeah. So to that end, so we can talk about the solar siting in a minute, but I do want to wrap back around to this whole timing question so that at the bare minimum, we're setting expectations correctly, and people are working on the right things at the right time.
Yeah.
So if Stephen, if it is absolutely true that a redone energy plan, an enhanced energy plan cannot stand on its own, it's going to be a chapter. It cannot piggyback on the current town plan because it wouldn't pass muster. So it
Right.
has to piggyback on 2028 plan. Then
Yeah.
that means the energy plan work that's being done by these two groups doesn't become official until it's rolled into the 2028 new town plan, correct?
Ew.
So if that's the situation, then first of all, we should all commonly understand that so that we're working to an accurate assessment. And then second, we need to say, okay, what's the timing? What's the urgency? And is there anything, any place where we're exposed or where that's dangerous or where somehow there's, I don't know, some stopgap that we want to think about? And I just put that out to the group. Because I mean,
I think we should.
yeah, and just I don't want it's the worst thing for public participation is to get everybody fired up and working hard to finish something and say thank you very much and have it then go on a shelf for a year. Unless you told them at the beginning it's going to go on a shelf for a year, but we're going to do it now because that's when the ball's rolling or whatever.
But
Yeah.
that was the initial plan. We were going to do some modest tweaks to get ourselves in line, and then we decided we couldn't do that. We had to do the whole tamale. So I don't know, Jan, if you want to walk that back, but I don't know that anything's different.
It doesn't sound like walking it back. If anything that would have teeth in any way has to be part of the town plan. And if any edits to the town plan can't stand without the entire town plan being compliant, then it doesn't sound like there's a walk back strategy that's viable without rewriting the whole thing. I mean, if you can't squeak through without the housing chapter, and that has to be totally redone, then
Our land use chapter. Yeah,
right. So, but that it just puts us in a situation where nothing substantial legally can change on the energy siting, on the energy plan front for 2 years.
Except that you can adopt the town plan before 2 years from now. Correct. I mean, if we move
If you
the
wanted to
timeline
do the
up-
whole thing, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If instead of saying 2 years from now, it's a year and a half or a year. Not that I'm encouraging that, but you don't have to wait till the 8-year mark, right?
Right.
It just has to pass muster as a whole, not in
Correct.
pieces.
Yeah. Yes, so we stand, currently in this section 248 process with deference. And that's all, not
No, I think we're at the due consideration
deference.
stage.
due consideration.
We're at due
not
consideration.
substantial deference.
We don't have substantial anything.
No, we're just due consideration.
Right. Okay, well, I just want whoever's working on it to be clear. The bare minimum, I want everybody to be clear of what the actual situation is so that we have honest expectations and understanding. Vince?
I just had a question just to pose to the group specifically. Stephen probably is best to answer this, but let's say we get this done 2 years ahead of time before it's adopted. What amount of rework would we need to go, or is it still going to be valid in 2 years and we could just kind of plug and play at that point? I know it's the future and who knows what's going to happen, but
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't think we'll necessarily need to rework anything. I mean, if we write an energy chapter that's compliant with the checklist that we have available to us, it'll be good now and in 2 years, and we can just slot it in. I mean, there might be some, statewide updates to the green sheets, which are the sort of, consumption metrics across, the renewable resources. But if there are updates to that, data set that is handed out to a town, again, we could just slot in that new data.
Okay, so not necessarily really any negatives to getting it done early.
No,
Okay.
no.
So
And then it's,
on
it's
the,
off the list.
yeah, I mean, there's something to that, but there's been a lot of work going on for a long time with some expectation that we could plug a hole or two when we got it done, but it just sounds like a longer time
Yeah.
frame. So
Yeah, and
what is
I
so
apologize, if I got that wrong.
well, I think that the solar siting group has been meeting for ages, and part of that was an expectation that a partial change could be made, a set of edits could be inserted, not requiring entire town plan readoption, that would have effect. That would.
No, and the answer to that, and I've asked around, is categorically no.
Okay. So let's just take it. We're not going to sort of pull the plug on these activities. So just because that's enough whiplash to be worse than
Right.
parking it. But on the solar siting side, and Mary, to chime in, as far as I know, we left it at we're at some early part of them, the mapping exercise and criteria coming out of that. So where does that stand in your mind, Mary and Stephen?
We have a meeting next week, so Steve and I met this week to talk about it, and I think we just need to nail that down. I do think we want to give the language that we spent a whole lot of time working on the town plan, which talks of, to the energy committee about siting. We'll see if they accept it, but a lot of work was done in that regard. But also starting to look at really try to nail down what we've been circling the drain on for a while in terms of preferred siting and not acceptable siting. Stephen, if you have anything to add.
Well, just to clarify for a second in terms of who's doing what, it's not that energy subcommittee's job to approve language coming from the solar siting subcommittee. That would come into the full town plan, the town planning commission, right? I
think some of it goes into the energy siting work. I don't know, Jan. I mean, when it says, ridge lines are, we encourage you to guide development off the ridge lines. I think the solar siting committee would say, no, I think we actually should say there shall not be any development on the ridge lines. So I think we have to figure that piece of it out, right?
Right. Maybe I misunderstood what I wanted to point out is that the Enhanced Energy Plan Working Group has a deliverable to the Planning Commission. The Solar Siting Committee has a deliverable to the Planning Commission. And then the Planning Commission as a whole makes policy decisions and puts those together. It isn't that the Solar Siting Subcommittee tries to convince the Energy Working Group to
we're not
write
trying
language.
to convince them. No.
Right.
Well, I mean, the siting committee at, sort of at the most basic level is also following the compliance checklist for an enhanced energy plan. Right. So we're just dealing with a certain section of it, which includes the mapping and our, preferred, prohibited, potential areas. And that work will continue at our next meeting next week.
Okay. Right. And that's the kind of criteria language that says what are preferred, what is not preferred, what is prohibited, what is, and to Mary's
Yeah.
point, that's where you put in regulatory, clear, community standard
Yeah.
language. Yeah.
And and also to Mary's point, it's important throughout all the chapters that we write clear, community standards. So
Yes.
that emphasis is not just for enhanced energy plan. It's it's in our land use chapters. It's in our transportation chapters.
Yeah.
We have to clear policies, clear community standards.
Yeah, it's like we were talking before about the town plan in general.
Yeah.
It's gotta say something. It's gotta make some choices, and it should look different. It's not a AI driven, swallow 47 town plans and spit out a clean version that no one will argue with. It should
Right.
it should reflect.
We got to make it has to be, by Norwich for
Yeah.
and but right now it's the energy chapter.
Yeah.
Enhanced
Understood.
energy chapter. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll dig into that on solar siting next week. What did you get an update on affordable housing subcommittee, Stephen?
No. I mean, I was hoping that Jeff could be. I mean, I'm the clerk, so I can sort of talk to what we've been doing. Coming out of the short-term rental, land use, the Act 181 stuff, Act 250 exemptions, Tier 1B. I think for the sort of the last meeting and our upcoming meeting, we're looking at this application for the Affordable Housing Revolving Fund. And then I think there's going to be some goal setting conversations in that group. I know Jeff and Jan, you guys are going to meet this
Thursday.
week.
Yep.
Thursday to
and that's kind of that to me is the equivalent of this next 6 month priority. What kind of it's almost what work is that group doing to again fit into the housing element of the work that needs to be done? Could be for the village master plan, could be for the full town plan, could be for zoning regs ideas, to give them some work orders for the coming months and get their ideas of what they want to be working on, what they think they should be working on.
Yeah.
Okay. And when's the next meeting of that subcommittee? Is it Monday or 2 Mondays?
Two Mondays. 2 Mondays from now.
Okay.
Our dates have changed because the last 2 months we had holidays on our regular meetings. So
Okay.
It's coming up.
All right. Well, I'll catch up with Jeff on Thursday and we'll try and link things together so that it's included in the big plan for the next 6 months. Okay. Good. All right. How about we go number 8, motion to approve minutes from February 10. We can discuss as needed.
I had. Sorry, you have to make the motion first.
Yeah, somebody give me a motion and then we can discuss and amend.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. All right. On the table. Comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to, on one of these, item 8A, the USGS FEMA hazard planning, the sentence USGS/FEMA will notify affected landowners. I said that, I'm not 100% sure they're going to directly do that. That's sort of that's up to them. So I would recommend removing that sentence or a statement that the USGS will begin a preliminary public process.
What's your preference? Is it accurate to say they will begin a preliminary public process?
Yes.
All right. So that says more than nothing, I guess.
Jan, in the comment about the biking, I'd like that to be clarified, that my comment was that I did not support it because, but I think I would like to clarify to say, the town already has many significant capital projects, and encouraging us to develop planning for yet another one is not something I would support. Happy to think about bike lanes, but we just can't keep affording to do everything.
So can we change that in a succinct way that is more accurate?
So let's see.
I think just
Yeah,
adding
more
would
to
not
more
support an-
costly capital projects. It's not that, it's in commented by email, that she would not support this action as the town already has so many costly higher prioritized capital projects. How's that? Succinct enough?
Yep, that's better if Vince
Thank
got
you.
it, or if you can say it twice in a row.
Add
I can
higher
say-
prioritized instead of more costly.
Yeah, is, in opposition due to the fact that the town already has um uh
A number of,
a
A number
number
of
of more
higher
higher prioritized capital projects.
Okay.
Thank
all
you.
right. No. Any other comments or edits to the minutes? Okay. So moved and seconded people, do you approve the changes?
With changes.
Well, I'm just saying, the people that moved and seconded, we changed it, so.
I don't think we have a quorum to pass this, John, tonight. Do we?
Oh, because
Because Mary can't. Yeah.
I can't vote. Yeah.
Bob and Mary wasn't here. So do we have enough? Vince, were you here?
we don't have enough people who were here.
We have
Okay,
4. Was Bob not there?
I wasn't there, no.
Okay.
so we have 3. Okay. All right, well, record those changes as the new draft so that we
Yeah.
don't have to revisit it again. We have them in there.
And we'll
and
include that in the
then-
next packet.
And then we'll put it in the next packet as the draft, and everybody will know. Okay. That's it. Sorry, we're gonna have to adjourn. Somebody want to move that? We will.
Sure.
Second.
Second. Gotta go. All those in favor?
All
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. I will come to the next meeting with a work plan. I'll send it out.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take care. Bye.